else do you have? And yeah, hiking boots because we're going on a yeah.
There's a dark and a troubled side of life, but there's a bright and a sunny side
Where are we
too.
going?
Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also make you. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life.
Is that good, Marianne?
It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way. If we keep on the sunny side of life. Though the storm in its fury broke today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Clouds and storms will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way. If we keep on the sunny side of life.
A successful failure. What occurred here was one event among many in an American tragedy, the flight of the Nez Perce. In July 1877, scouting parties from the 7th Infantry at Missoula verified rumors that hostile Nez Perce were approaching over the Lolo Trail. Ordered to block the passage of the Nez Perce, about 35 soldiers headed up Lolo Creek where, on July 25th, Captain Charles Ron selected the terrace in front of you for his defensive position. His soldiers, joined by citizen volunteers, constructed breastworks from earth and logs and dug shallow rifle pits. Over 200 men joined forces to prevent the Nez Perce from passing. About 4 miles west of here, at Woodman Flats, parleys were held between the Nez Perce and Ron's forces. The Nez Perce were ordered to surrender arms, ammunition, and horses. They refused, promising to pass peacefully. Many of the citizen volunteers accepted the Nez Perce promise. Sharing fears of destructive retaliation on families and property, they abandoned the fort and trickled home. Soon, Captain Ron had insufficient forces to fulfill his orders. Orders from an army still embarrassed by the Little Bighorn disaster of 1876 and now stung by Nez Perce victories in Idaho. On the morning of July 28th, the Nez Perce bypassed the breastworks by climbing up the low ridge to your left and traveling just out of sight behind the ridge in front of you. They descended east of here and entered the Bitterroot Valley. The fort had fizzled, but it was a successful failure. The battle few participants wanted was avoided. The Nez Perce proceeded south through the Bitterroot Valley, confident that they had a non-aggression pact. When the confrontation here was over, locals sarcastically named this place Fort Fizzle to ridicule a mission that had failed. Replica entrenchment. So this is the Soldiers' Corral, replica of it, as it would have looked when the Nez Perce passed. Soldiers would have gotten down here, maybe stuck their rifles through these wooden posts, and what they hoped to see were the native Nez Perce tribe pass through the valley. But what they did, in fact, because they weren't stupid, was pass over the ridge and wave at the soldiers below.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face.
Now, Courtney, Marianne, and I are going to take a dip in these wild waters, but before I do that, I want to demonstrate how to make a small fire with some of the tools that I brought along with us. Now, this is a small silky saw that's perfect for cutting off limbs that will be used in my fire. This is a condor knife. It's a bushcrafting tool. And what I'm going to try to do is make wood chips and get to the dry wood underneath the damp stuff. Now, this wood is very damp because it's been a very wet spring and has been raining fairly consistently the past several days. So I want to carve underneath the damp and get to the dry wood. I also brought along a couple other knives to test them out. This is a Moroccan Niv. It's a Swedish knife that you can get it's fairly inexpensive. You can get it at most outdoor stores. And as you can see, it's a lot better at getting these chips compared to the heavier steel knife that I used before it. So I'm going to continue to carve. And keep these in a pile. There's the chips. Final knife I'm going to test out is a Gerber. This is one of Courtney's. It's got a nice grip and is also effective at getting underneath the wet bark and wood. What I'm going to use for my fire starter is a piece of fat wood, and this is really sappy wood that you can sometimes find in the core of trees. And that dense sap burns really effectively for a long duration. So it's sometimes can be difficult to find, but if I ever do, I try to harvest it and save it.
We had to sleep out here, Marianne. Where would you want to sleep?
So now that I have the small chips, I'm going to use the first knife, the Condor bushcrafting knife, which again is heavier, to baton the wood. And batoning means, essentially you're using the knife to split it. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting the knife at the top of the stick, and I'm using another stick to pound on the handle, and that splits it in half and will give me thicker pieces to use. And there's my daughter in the background and Courtney, who are getting a little antsy at this point, so I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. Which, I guess, if you are in a situation where you need a fire as quick as possible, this is a good test. Okay, so I've gathered some dry twigs from the surrounding trees, or drier twigs, and I put them in my bundle. I lit the fat wood, and as you can see, it's burning really effectively. All of that sap just burns very nice. And I'm trying to get it to catch the chips and the wood that I split, but having a little bit of trouble. Again, it's all very wet, and I probably could have created smaller strips of wood or rearranged the bundle more effectively, but I gave this 3 tries and didn't get anything going. Maybe with a little more time I could have, but it was time to go.
Let's see.
Feral monkeys.
Yeah.